hearing is the Dies Irae sequence from the fifth movement of Symphonie Fantastique by the Romantic French composer Hector Berlioz. Something to note of this particular performance, however, is the use of period instruments to give off the desired effect that Berlioz intended and his contemporaries expected to hear. Of these instruments, none may be so inept as the ophicleide. Developed in 1817 and patented in 1821 by French instrument maker Jean Hilaire Asti, the ophicleide was hailed by many to be the instrument that finally provided bass voice within the brass section of the orchestra. Quite literally, the keyed serpent, it served as a link between its forebears, the serpent, an unfortunate and rather awkward holdover from the Renaissance, and the modern-day tuba. Even with all of its fame and recognition, nothing ever seemed quite right about the ophicleide. Its sound was described to be quite harsh and bulky to blend with the rest of the orchestra. Along with that, it was also one of the most difficult and awkward instruments to play. In fact, it was because of these undesired quirks where an urban legend of the conception of the saxophone comes into play. According to mythos, Adolphe Sax, after having helped develop a better bass clarinet mouthpiece, took one of those mouthpieces and stuck it to the end of an ophicleide just to see what it would sound like. Many found the instrument difficult and awkward to play, as being a keyed brass instrument, all the keys had to be closed in order for certain partials to work, and the only way to change those partials was opening a small number of those keys at a time. It was due to this high level of skill necessary to play the instrument that ultimately brought forth its demise. Over the latter half of the 18th century, virtuosic ophicleide competitions were held all over Europe. The prize for these competitions? A euphonium. As an easier instrument to play, people flocked to it, and its larger relative, the tuba, which effectively phased out the ophicleide out of common use by the start of the First World War. In the end, the ophicleide was just a weird instrument. Being awkward and difficult to play made it as comical and undesirable as humanly possible. Forced to play in ranges that were too low for it, the instrument drove itself into its own extinction. Despite this, the ophicleide provides a unique growl in the orchestra that is seldomly heard today. Maybe someday, this can all change.